Hey guys, it's Trish back with another video. Today we're going to use a flat back cabochon to make a seed beaded pendant. Now, this project is a little more difficult than my usual beginner to intermediate videos that I do, but it is a fun project and anybody can do it. We're going to be using some of these adorable shimmer fruits. This is shimmer strawberries, shimmer lemons, and shimmer peaches, which is what we're going to use today. We're also going to need, this is just a little piece of vinyl for the back, but any kind of backing will work. Like if you have ultra suede, leather, felt, this is just what I had here. We're also going to need a seed bead mix from JJB Beads. This one's called Perfectly Pink. I did take it out of the packaging, but I will insert a picture here of the packaging, so you can go and pick that up yourself. And then we're also going to need some Wildfire. This is in the .006. This is just a 20-yard roll, but there's plenty on here for this project and many other projects. We're also going to need a seed beading needle. I prefer the tulip needles. There are many brands out there. Beadalon makes needles. I mean, there's all kinds of seed beading needles out there. Just do your research and find what fits for you. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started here. I wanted to first show you what these look like when they're out of the package. The shimmer on these are fantastic. There's even a little peach seed in the middle. But this is what the back looks like. As I said, they're just flat backs, which is totally awesome, or cabochon, if you want to use that term. And all I've done, I've taken one of those and I've glued it on to some backing. Now the backing I'm using is called Pendant. You can get it at Walmart, Joann Fabrics, anywhere like that. And it's made for backing, embroidery, things like that. Especially if you use a embroidery machine. It works great for this. This is the mid-weight, but I have doubled the mid-weight because really you're supposed to use the heavy-weight. And when I purchased this, I didn't realize that there were two weights. So I just doubled that. Now, you don't have to use this Pendant. You don't have to run out and buy this unless you think this is going to be something you're going to want to continue doing quite a bit. You can just use felt. Anything like that will work. You can double or triple that up so it gives you a nice solid back, and you can see how that really doesn't bend. It's pretty solid, and that's what you need. So all I've done is I've just taken some B7000, or you can use E6000, whatever you like, that type of glue, and glued this on here. Now I did this ahead of time because I needed to dry before I start my seed beading. Okay, so if you're wondering why you're not seeing me actually glue it on, that is why. This design, the first row I'm going to do are with these really pretty silver lined pink beads, and we're just going to keep it simple. I've just taken some of my Wildfire and I've threaded it onto my seed beading needle, and then I have knotted the ends so when we sew through it doesn't come up through and we have a solid surface. So what I normally do is I just kind of pick a spot to start, and it's usually in the center bottom of my projects, but whatever makes you happy, whatever. I like to work, I'm right-handed, so I like to work in a circle from right to left. If you're left-handed, you may want to do opposite of that. So I'm just going to take my needle, I'm going to put it up through the Pendant and right directly underneath my peach. Now, whenever you're doing this, you're going to want to leave just barely a little tiny millimeter between your needle and the peach, or whatever you decide to use for your cabochon, just to kind of give you a little bit of breathing room. So I'm just going to pull that through, just like so. And my preferred number to load on my needle at one time is 6. Okay, but again, you do you. So I'm going to pick up 6 of my seed beads. Okay, and I'm going to drop those down, and I'm just pushing them down with my fingers here so they get close to my project. And I'm going to take this string and I'm going to pull it upward so it lays nice and snug against the peach that I'm using here. and I want to make sure everything's kind of down and in place and laying snug against. And I'm holding this strand with my left thumb, and I'm just going to take my right hand with my needle in, and I'm going to again move up about maybe a millimeter or so up from the end of the last seed bead there, and put your needle down through your work. Okay, so as you're pulling that thread through, you'll see how these kind of lay into place. All right, so that's your first step. Now that would be all well, fine and good, but you have to be able to keep these from moving around. And you can see now, even if we pulled this in place, it would still bounce around quite a bit if we tightened it in there. So the next step we're going to do is on the back here, you can see I'm taking this strand and I'm kind of wrapping it around my finger and keeping it nice and snug back there. I don't know if you can see how I'm doing that. So I like to do that because it keeps everything in place and it's sitting where I want it to be. So I'm going to come up with my needle between two seed beads in, between the peach and the seed beads. Okay, and I'm just put my needle up through there, just like so. All right, you can see I'm two down, and I'm going to pull that needle through. And that string through. And then this is called flat stitch, and the reason that it's called a flat stitch is because you're basically keeping all of your beads flat, and we're going to lock the beads in by tacking down the string that goes through the seed beads. So we're coming out on this left inside. I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to put it directly over top between the second and the third beads to the right of the string, okay, that we used to put the seed beads on. And I'm going to put my needle down through the Pendant and then pull. And then you're going to have one area is locked down and in place. Those are not budging. Then I'm going to move two more seed beads down, and that's going to put us between 4 and 5. I'm going to put my needle up through, again, between the peach and the seed beads. Okay, and this is between 4 and 5. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go between 4 and 5 and over top of the string that is inside of the seed beads. And I'm just going to put my needle down through and pull. Again, this is tacking down the string that we fed our seed beads onto. So that's nice and snug there. Then our last step is going to be, we're going to bring our needle back up through, right behind, just a little bit of breathing room there, that last seed bead. And we're going to pull our strand. And then we're going to go back through all 6 of those beads to come out at the top there. And once we have that, that's all locked in beautifully. It's nice and snug against your cabochon, and you're in the front of the section of beads, so you're ready to start your next section. So let's do this again. Let's put on 6 seed beads. Again, we're going to move those down, and we're going to do the same exact steps. We're going to put that in. Now we're going to snug it up against the peach and against the first set of beads that we have, so it looks like a continual line. And again, I'm holding that thread snug there, and I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it down in front of the last bead there, and I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to wrap my finger in the back to keep this nice and snug here, holding with my thumb and my pointer onto the backing. I'm going to bring my needle up between the peach and the seed bead line, pull that through, and I'm going to tack on the other side. I'm going to take my needle over between 2 and 3 over top of the thread that runs through the seed beads and tack it down on the other side. Okay, oops, that went between 3 and 4. So what I can do is I can just pull that up and adjust the beads, push that one down that I don't want it to be between, and kind of give a slow pull just to kind of keep an eye and make sure that it tacks down between 2 and 3 and not 3 and 4. Okay, so there you go. So we're going to come up through again. We're going to go between 4 and 5, excuse me. So we're going to come up between the peach and the seed beads. Okay, and then tack on over top between 4 and 5. We're going to go over top of that strand that runs through the seed beads on the other side of it and tack that down. All right, so once that's tacked, we're going to say, well, we went to the end here and we went back through, so what are we going to do here? What we're going to do is we are going to tie in the 6th bead in our first section. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to come up beside that 6th bead on the last section that we did. All right, and the peach there, same thing. So there's 2, 4, 6 is right there. Pulling that up through. And I'm going to go through the 6th bead of the last section and then up and through our section that we did. You can see how this curves here, so I can go up through these beads, pull, and if it's easier, and then just go through the one that has a little bit of an angle on it. Okay, so now those sections are not only locked down, but they're locked together. Okay guys, so now we're going to work on the next step, and you can see here, I'm just going to go over this quick. We did the inside row, I did the inside row, and then I did the exact same technique just around that inside row, and I just did every other bead of the other colors that I had, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of a pop. So you do your design that you like. It's just the same technique for the entire flat part of this. Okay, so I have my piece of vinyl here, and I have my B7000, and I'm going to show you how to put the backing and the edging on. So I tied a knot on the back and just tacked that down so we're nice and secure there. I am just going to take my cord cutting shears to cut this piece out, only because I like the way that it does it. It gets very close to the beads, does a nice job. This will dull your cord cutting shears. I'm fortunate I know how to sharpen mine. My dad taught me how to. If you do not know how to sharpen them, I would recommend just using a sharp pair of scissors. So I'm just going to take my shears in, and I'm going to clip right over to the beads, just like so. And I'm just going to angle my shears ever so slightly and just go around the edge of the beads, making sure I'm not cutting into where we stitched the beads on. Okay, and you'll be good if you just stay around the edge of the last row. You'll be good. And sometimes I have to go back and snip here or snip there just to make sure that I have everything as snug as I need it. And again, we're just going to work our way around here, snipping that off. Okay, just like so. And again, I kind of look at it and see, well, I'm going to cut that string because I know that's tied off, and I'm just going to get these little edges just a little bit more, just because I want it to be nice and neat, and I don't want white sticking out over our edges. So I'm just looking at it here, cleaning it up just a little bit. Don't be too aggressive with it. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So once you have that cut out, you're just going to take whatever backing you decide to use. I just like this vinyl that I got from Hobby Lobby. And you're just going to glue your piece onto that. And what I like to do, like I said, I'm using B7000, but whatever you like, I like to go around the edges to make sure that it's nice and secure, and then go into the middle because I don't want lift. Although we'll be stitching seed beads around the edge, I just don't want lift. So I like to make sure I cover all the bases. So, and I'm just going to push that down onto that vinyl. and we're just going to let that dry for a minute, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now that once that is dried, you're going to want to take your shears again or your scissors, and you're going to cut around the edge of your vinyl to get that nice and neat around the piece that you've created. Okay, and you could stop here, guys. You could stop here, put on a glue-on bell, and you are done. I like to do a picot stitch along the edges though. That's just my preference, but this would be an adorable earring, just like so. Not too big, not too small. Perfect. But that is what our backing looks like. So I have that cut out, and the next step we're going to do is we're going to decide what do we want for our edging. So you can see on this piece that I did, I've done the edging already on this, and it's just as simple as 3 beads, just like you're doing a regular old picot stitch around the edge that's tacked. Okay, so let me get my needle and my beads out, and we're gonna be right back. Okay, so I've got my 11/0 out, and I've got my needle threaded with some wildfire, and I've also tied a knot at the end of this, just like we did at the beginning. And we're going to start by getting this into the material. And what I'll do is I'll take my needle and poke through the back of the vinyl or whatever backing you decide, and come up at an angle, because I don't want to go between the seed beads or into the project. I just want to go along the edge, and you can see how I'm doing that there. So I'm catching the front, or the original Beadalon, and I'm catching onto the backing. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that up and through. Okay, and then we're going to put on 3 11/0. Okay. And I'm just doing the same thing, pushing that down. And then I'm just going to do the same exact thing, go through the backing. I'm making sure I'm catching enough of it, backing and up at an angle. So we're catching the backing and both sets of backing, I should say. And you're just going to pull that, and you can see how it makes that circle. So it's just like when we do a picot stitch on anything. Okay, it's just 3 beads sitting there along the top. So we're going to continue that. Pick up 3. Go through the backings up at an angle. Pull your thread, pull your needle, excuse me. And there is our second picot. And you're going to just do this the whole way around, however you like the design. It would be really pretty with alternating colors. I've done that on other pieces. You can just, the sky's the limit on that one, guys. So do that, and we're going to make sure that they line up beside each other, not on top of each other. We're just going to live beside each other. And if they're not perfectly beside each other, if they see like one's a little off or something, you're not even going to notice once you have it done. You can see how they just kind of stick out here or there. It just gives it a cute look as far as I'm concerned. So we'll do that a couple more times so you can get the hang of it. Picking up 3 through both backings up at an angle and through. And I'm just guiding that thread with my left hand just to make sure those land where I want them to. Okay, just like that. 3 more. Same thing. Through the back, through the front, backing, and pull your needle. Okay, so that is what you're looking at, guys. That's your basic step to edge your piece. You can see it looks like in the back. It just kind of gives you that finished edge as opposed to just the simple white edging here. Again, if you like that, that doesn't bother you, there you go. Just leave it at that. You could even take a Sharpie around the edges and just color that. You know, if you have something like this with pink, just color it pink or whatever color coordinates with your piece. Okay, so once you would go the whole way around here and that's done, we would go on to adding a bell, and I'll be right back to show you how to do that. So with this 8 inches of thread, I'm just gonna take, you can see we're coming out the center, and I just want to be to the right of the center, maybe by a few millimeters there, and I'm just gonna go through the backing, back through, make sure I'm in there well. All right, pull that through. And you can see how your thread just hides in there. And then I'm gonna come back through the back, just like so, just, we're hiding it all within that edging. Okay, come back through there, just to the right of your middle. All right, and that's a perfect spot to be coming out of. Okay, we're just like right at the top, we're to the right of our center, we're good. So we're gonna pick up 9 beads, see if that's gonna give us the size that we like. So I'm gonna pick up 9. Okay, push those down. And then in the same vicinity on the left hand side, I'm going to go down through our seed beads, catch on to our backing, and push my needle through. Now you can see where it's coming out there, that's a little too low. We don't want that to be sticking out like a sore thumb. So we want to angle it so it's coming out more around where our edging is, okay? And just push that out through just like so. Because you don't want it to see the ends that you're linking in after you've done such beautiful work to hide the strands and things like that. So we're just going to take our pliers here because this can be a little tough to get through. Just going to give it a snug pull, and you can see then you have a seed beaded bell. Now that's adorable, I love it. Again, like I said, you could do a glue-on bell, but we need to make sure this is nice and secured because this is what this piece is going to be hanging from on your necklace. So I'm just going to take my thread, my needle and my thread, and I'm going to go back through the backing. Okay. Out. Through the front there. We're not into our seed bead pattern down here. We're still in our edging. Okay. And then I'm going to take my needle and put it up through the loop that we made just to kind of secure it in, and it can be a little bit of a challenge to get your needle up through there, but once you get it through, we're just going to lock this in by going through it again, and I'm coming up through my beads. Okay, get that through, and you don't have to do them all at one time, and in fact it's easier not to. And then we're going to go through these ones. Okay, and then down through the last few here. Again, they can dance around a little bit on you. There we go. And then we're going to go down through the center and out through the backing. Again, making sure we're in the row with the seed beads edging, okay? All right, so that's nice and snug on there now. We know that's not going to go anywhere, so we can just go ahead and tie 2 or 3 knots just to make sure. So I'm going to go through one of my loops in the back, take my needle through, and I'm going to tie a knot around that. We want to make sure that that's nice and hidden there. And then I'm going to do it one more time. You can do it as many times as you like. Okay, one more time. And tighten that up. Okay, And once that's tightened up there, you can go ahead and snip it and just put a little dab of glue on the end of your knot to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Here is our finished product, guys, our pretty in pink peach pendant. I hope you learned a lot today, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.